The Canon 1D Mark III is an awesome camera that is capable of producing stunning images. Even today, despite being from 2007, let's have a look at what this camera can do, what's in it, and what it can do. Welcome to my channel, where I often review cameras of yesteryear, and this 18-year-old Canon 1D Mark III is no exception. I bought mine when it was used. I bought mine used when it was a few years old, and as it was far too expensive when brand new. I think the price new was around 6,000 euro. It was one of the most capable sports and wildlife cameras of its day, with its frame rate of 10. Many cameras today can shoot as fast as this one, but just listen to the awesome sound of and reassuring sound of this camera. But it can also shoot in a more quiet mode, though only single frames. Where in the Canon lineup is it placed? Well, looking at this overview of DSLRs that Canon produced between 2001 and 2020, where they transferred all the energy to mirrorless, the column at the right shows the professional models. And here we find the 1D series of cameras. Also, the cameras in the next column are mostly professional models. Few pro Canon shooters haven't owned one or more of the 5D models. By the way, I have made 3 episodes reviewing the different 5D models that I own or have owned. I'll leave a link to the reviews in the description below. In the diagram I have marked the Canon cameras I have owned in blue and the ones I still own in red. It's quite a number of cameras. The 1D Mark III is a very sturdy camera, and being made for professionals has a shutter life expectancy of 300,000. I know that many cameras have done far more than that, some even more than 1 million shots on the same shutter. My 1DX, a little later camera, has done more than 1 million shots, and it still clicks happily away. That's quite insane. You might think that it's a full frame camera, and a full frame version existed. That's the 1DS cameras. Back in the day I owned one, the 1DS Mark III, but that camera had a much slower frame rate. Later, when Canon released the 1DX that I have, full frame cameras hit the 10 frame per second mark. So this camera uses the not so popular APS-H size, which has a crop factor of 1.3. So this sensor is slightly larger than the one in APS-C cameras, and thus normally can't use the lenses made for the smaller format. Except this one, where I have converted the mount so it can actually fit on my 1D Mark III. And from 11 millimeters it doesn't vignetting, so it's actually functionally a 14 millimeter on the 1D Mark III. The downside is that you normally have to use a slightly larger lenses made for full frame, as there is no lenses made specifically for this format. On the other hand, this also means slightly better ability to blur backgrounds than on smaller sensors, which is nice if you also use this camera for portrait work, which I have done on many of my travels. Another important thing that really sets this camera apart and shows that it's made for professional use is the battery life. With modern mirrorless cameras, we have become accustomed to battery life of a few hundred or maybe a little more. but the Canon 1D Mark III has a CEPA rating of 2200 shots on one battery charge. Furthermore, the default battery charger is a double charger, again showing this is for professional use. Where this camera shows its age is in the ISO range. You can shoot up to ISO 3200, expandable to 6400, but I wouldn't take it to more than 1600 unless the situation demanded an image no matter what. If you stay lower than the 3200, the image quality is really good, and despite a resolution of only 10 megapixels, I have successfully used this camera for landscape scenes and have used these images both for my books, like the images spread in my book on the highest mountain in Europe, Mont Blanc, which you can see here. I say highest in Europe as I suppose none of us these days regard Russia and thus Mount Elbrus as part of Europe. But be aware, I know that very well, that geographically the Caucasus mountain range where Elbrus is situated is part of Europe. Sorry for my small political statement here. Back to the nice image quality of the Canon 1D Mark III. I have used it on a lot of travels, especially on several trips to Kilimanjaro, and many of the examples here are from Africa. So what is my take on this camera today? Well, as I have later bought the 1DX, which is a full frame version capable of an even faster frame rate, I don't really need the 1D Mark III, but the prices on the used market are so low that I don't see any good argument for selling it. But the low price on the used market means that if you, dear viewer, is interested in this camera, there's not much holding you back, as you can find it very cheap. It's an awesome experience shooting this camera, and despite owning much smaller and especially much lighter cameras that are capable of just as fast frame rates, if not even higher, I still pick up this camera and use it. Not on a daily basis, but once in a while, just for the fun of it. It's clunky, it's big, it's rather heavy, but I feel more attached and more committed to my photography when using a camera like this. Thus, if you can find one at a really low price, recently MPB was selling one for less than 250 euro, I can only recommend trying it. Remember though that it uses CF cards. So try to get a card with the camera as well as a card reader for CF. Another possibility is to get an SD to CF adapter that you can use with modern flash cards. So you can use modern flash cards with this camera. I wish you happy vintage shooting, and I hope you will subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of vintage reviews. And please also hit the like button on this video, as it will make it easier for me to bring more good content to you. So thank you very much for this time, and bye for now.